Hey traders, today I give you the results of my worldwide trading exit challenge. Could any of them beat stop and reverse? I'm champion trader Kevin Davey, and let's find out. Okay, so a while back I ran over 500,000 backtests to see which exit was the best. And I tested a whole bunch of exits and combinations of exits, all sorts of things, from simple exits to what I would consider intermediate exits, complicated exits, and then I took some of them and put them together and made combinations of them. And I tested them with 5 different entries. Most of them are kind of trend following entries, but they're also pretty popular. A lot of people use these type of entries. So I thought it was a pretty good representation of what you might see out there. And I also tested it over 40 different markets, multiple bar sizes, and over a 10-year period. And I did all this testing, and stop and reverse turned out to be the absolute best. They were the king of the mountain. But I wanted to see, maybe it was just some of the exits I had picked out. I had gathered exits that were commonly known, that I found on the internet, that I saw in books. So I thought, hey, maybe all the viewers of these videos and the readers of my articles can give me some better exits. So I put out a worldwide exit challenge. And today I'm going to talk to you about what I found out. I received exits from all over the globe, and I added some that I wanted to test that were my own, and I also added some that people had sort of suggested but didn't really give me code for. So I kind of took their idea and created my own exits for them. Altogether, I had 13 different exits, and I'm not going to go through each of the exits individually. If you want details and code for quite a few of them, just go to the article that's listed in the description and also the first comment. There you can get details, you can copy and paste the TradeStation code, and you can test these out yourself. But I tested 13 different exits, and I wanted to see, could any of those beat stop and reverse? And just in case you didn't realize what stop and reverse is, here's an example strategy where it buys one way and sells short the other way. But the way it's set up and the way TradeStation works, when it buys, it automatically exits a short position first, then goes long. So that's the stop, and then going long is the reverse part of it. So that's why it's called a stop and reverse exit. Now, I went through all these markets just like the last set of tests I did, and I tried to duplicate it as much as possible. And I used return on account to compare the results. As you'll see, I also used the number of profitable cases just as a confirmation, which is kind of an independent measure. And we could argue that return on account isn't really the best thing to use. I get it. There's a lot of different metrics you could use to say what's the best. But I wanted to use return on account because it included profit and it included drawdown. So it's a good mix of the reward part and the risk part. Okay, here are the results. What? Stop and reverse is still the best? Meaning all the exits that people submitted, all the new exits I came up with, nothing beat stop and reverse. It's crazy. And maybe it's the combination of all these different markets. You know, I'm sure there's times where some of these exits do better than stop and reverse, but as a whole, they don't. And you could break it down by market, you could break it down by bar size, and you'll still get about the same results. Stop and reverse is the best. And it's crazy to think that because people spend a lot of time with exits. And this just kind of says, well, hey, maybe spending tons of time with all these crazy exits isn't all it's cracked up to be. It's something to think about as you're trading and as you're developing trading systems. So return on account, stop and reverse looked best. I also looked at the number of profitable cases and the number of bad cases. So what I tried to do was anything over $10,000 profit in 10 years, that was considered a good case. Anything under minus $10,000 profit, $10,000 loss, right? And I took the ratio of those two. And when I looked at that, stop and reverse was still the best. Now, you may wonder, well, how can you use this in your own development when you're building algo strategies? Well, the first rule here is maybe you should just keep things simple. Maybe spending a ton of time developing these great trailing stop exits with all these parameters, things like chandelier stops and parabolic stops and those kind of things. Maybe they're not all that great and not what they're cracked up to be and what people think. Maybe just keeping it simple. Have one rule to enter, and when you enter, you exit the opposite position. That might be a great way to go, so keep it simple. The second rule might be when you want to add exits, don't just try everything and see what works. Be particular about it. Add them sparingly. Maybe that's a good way to go. And third, keep looking. Just because all the exits I tested, which I think is like 28 different exits now, just because none of them beat stop and reverse doesn't mean you won't find one. And especially doesn't mean in a particular market that some of these exits won't work better than stop and reverse. The bad thing about stop and reverse, if that's the only thing you use, is you're in the market all the time, which is great when trades go in your direction, but sometimes when trades aren't going in your direction, now you're still stuck in a trade. And a lot of times, at least with my own trading, I like to get in and get out and then maybe just wait on the sidelines for the next trade. That's something to think about and something to consider as you're building exits. Stop and reverse will keep you in the market all the time. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button. I really appreciate that. And feel free, leave a comment. What exit has worked great for you? Maybe I'll test it and do a video on it. Let me know. I'm Champion Trader Kevin Davey, and thanks for watching.